Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, and better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
In this community briefing, I will share with you information regarding circumstances surrounding the officer-involved shooting of a suspect that resulted in his death. This occurred at approximately 9:03 p.m. on September 13, 2022, in the 1500 block of North 33rd Street, in Police District 3 on the city's north side. On that date and time, officers responded to a shot spotter detection originating from the 1600 block of North 34th Street. The following video was captured on a residence home surveillance system and shows three subjects, including the deceased, side.
Alright, so Shot Spotter. Shot Spotter is a company that has a product where they install multiple microphones across a city, and these microphones are hooked to a computer basically, and on the computer the software is able to detect gunfire. It filters out all the different sounds within a city, and it detects what is gunfire. I don't know how many cities in the U.S. use this. There's quite a few that do it. It's obviously going to be in larger cities where, one, it's an issue where there's a lot of shenanigans going on, and also where they have a higher tax base, I guess you could say, because they could have the budget to pay for this kind of thing. It's interesting technology. It's good for, I think, those neighborhoods where they're not very friendly towards the police and they're less likely to call the police when things happen. It's good in that aspect, but other than that, it could be helpful to know the exact time when something happens. So, Shot Spotter hears the gunfire. Police go out, they see shell casings or something, but they don't find anybody around. They're like, okay, well then, several hours later, 2 blocks down, somebody finds a body, and there's bullet wounds in them. That could help them say, oh, well, this person likely died between these hours. So it could be helpful for that kind of stuff, and for those neighborhoods where people are just not likely to call police after gunfire, because it's such a common thing in those neighborhoods, and because those people they don't care for the police, and they don't believe in the police, and they just don't want to deal with them. Other than that, I don't see the need to pay for something like that. A lot of times when the thing does go off, police will get there, and sometimes all they find is shell casings. There's been times where they find a body or wounded people, but other than that, it's not like it's something that actually prevents anything from happening, or 100% can pinpoint exactly who did the shooting or anything like that. So it's somewhat helpful, but at the same time, it's not that helpful. The microphones, they're spread out all across the city, and basically the microphones can be used to triangulate where these shots are coming from. So, there could be a microphone over in here on a tower, a microphone down here on a tower, and a microphone over here on a tower, and one over there somewhere. And a gunshot could go off right there. And based off, the time that it took for these microphones to detect it, the decibel that it was able to register at it, etc., the program can pinpoint an area where those shots are being fired from based off all those multiple microphones. Anyway, moving on.
Guns while walking in the 1600 block of North 34th Street.
These house surveillance cameras, I think, are probably some of the most useful things for investigations.
I didn't want to do it. Murray boy. Y'all get over here on the side. No, the side. Both of y'all get over here. Get close to me. Every year.
All right, and so if you didn't notice the timestamp here in the top corner, it does fast forward pretty quick. And then boom, this is where police start rolling through. So it's not like the police were right there behind them as they were doing it. They had to fast forward that some. And then it fast forward some more.
Officers in a marked police squad responded to the area of the shot spotter. As they turned onto the 1500 block of North 33rd Street, shots were fired in their direction. Officers observed 3 male subjects mid-block. Upon sight of the police, the subjects began to flee on foot. 2 unidentified subjects ran southbound, and the third, later identified as the deceased, ran northbound directly past officers while still in possession of a firearm. Officers discharged their firearms at the northbound armed subject in the 1500 block of North 33rd Street, striking the subject multiple times, causing him to fall. 40 caliber bullet casings were recovered along the flight path leading to where the subject fell, indicating shots were being fired at officers as he fled. The following video contains multiple perspectives of body-worn camera and depict the event as described.
All right, so back.
The event as described.
So, this is obviously a police car, but it's not a normal police car. There's not a cage in the back. Typically, with most police cars, there will be a cage in there to keep the front separated from the back. That way the bad guy can't reach around and choke the officer or something like that. So this is a more of a specialty kind of setup. In most places across the U.S., it's a one-man car in most places. And some of your larger municipalities, you can have two-man cars. And in some places, you actually can see 3- and 4-man cars. But those are not your normal patrol cars. So even in those municipalities where they have a two-man car, the two-man car is almost just the same as a one-man car in the rest of the U.S. They just go to regular calls for service. They do traffic stops on speeders and stuff like that. Typical police stuff. When you see a vehicle that has 3 to 4 officers in it, that's more of a specialty unit right there. Not to say that they can't make a stop on someone for speeding and traffic and stuff like that, but they are more specialized for those worst parts of town. And they've got that multiple officers in there so that there can be a better show of force when they get out. It's always better when you have more numbers with you. And especially in large towns where it can be a couple minutes before backup can get to you. So if they're assigned to a bad neighborhood, then boom, there's already 3 officers right there to handle a call. And they don't have to wait 2 minutes for another backing unit to get there. They're able to go there and get stuff done. So it's a whole lot safer to do stuff this way in bad neighborhoods. And they're able to go to those hot calls, and one car can deliver 3 to 4 officers. So it's a pretty cool tactic, but not everywhere can afford to do that, and not everywhere needs that kind of setup. So what we see here, we do see a couple rifles or long guns up here in a rack, and it almost looks like this could be a long gun as well. I can't see it very well. It's kind of crappy footage, but we see that the long guns are not out of their carriers, and that to me is a problem. Excuse me. They know that they're going to a shot spotter call. They know that someone is shooting guns. So when they get there, there's the potential that those people will shoot guns at them. So at the very least, I think the front and back passenger need to have those long guns out and ready, so that when they dismount, boom, they can put them into play. That's one of my chief complaints when it comes to videos like this, officers responding to calls involving guns, and they neglect to have rifles out and ready. So it's a whole lot quicker, in my opinion, to be able to put that rifle into play if you've already got it out and charged, versus you roll up on scene and then you try to get it out of its carrier and then try to charge it and put it into play. If you do that before you ever get there, before you ever get on scene, take it out of its carrier, charge it, get it ready, then when you get there, boom, you can roll out that door with that rifle in hand. Now, that may not have fully worked for them on this particular incident, and I'll play this a few times, and then we'll go back and talk about what we're seeing. So for the first, since they do 2 camera views in once, what I want you to pay attention to is the back passenger here with the big screen. Ignore the little screen for right now. Just pay attention to the back screen. So we see that this guy is running, and he's got his gun, and it's extended outwards. And this officer is already, boom, getting his door open, and he's hitting him with the light. Then he gets out, and there's some odd footwork where he kind of goes around to the driver's side. I don't understand what he's doing at that point. We'll back it up, and you can see it again. So boom, he gets out. Does like this weird go to driver's side, spin around kind of thing. And then does some shooting.
Hey, now! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
Alright, so this is one of the problems that I see in quite a few videos, actually. Officers holding objects in their hands or their hand and trying to get a two-handed grip on their pistol. It just doesn't work. All fighting guns should have weapon lights on them. Now, I'm not sure if this one has one on it or not. Can't pick it up very well in the camera, but all fighting guns should have weapon-mounted lights. And even people who work during the day, I think, should also have weapon-mounted lights on their fighting guns. Just because you are up during the day and are rarely ever out at night or never out at night doesn't mean that you don't need a weapon-mounted light. You could be indoors where there's no artificial light available, windows are covered, it's very dark, etc. So that obviously means you need a weapon-mounted light. So all fighting guns should have weapon-mounted lights. I think it's also important to train and practice on jettisoning unnecessary things out of your hand to be able to get a good two-handed grip. So what we see here is he's holding a flashlight in one hand and he's trying to get a two-handed grip. It's not working. This is essentially him just holding the gun one-handed. When it comes to handguns, you want both hands on the gun. That's where you're going to be able to get better accuracy out of shooting. You can still shoot one-handed, but it's just not as effective as doing it with a good two-handed grip. And here we just cannot get a two-handed grip. So it's ineffective gripping of the gun, and then also ineffective use of the light. The light isn't even pointed at the threat. The light's pointed at his dick. Like, why does he need to spotlight his dick at this moment? It's completely unnecessary. So what he should be doing, or should have done, is drop that flashlight completely out of his hand and go to a good solid two-handed grip on that gun. And if it had a weapon a weapon-mounted light, he should have activated the weapon-mounted light. I think it's important to, like I said, train and practice for doing stuff like that. I've seen in videos people hold a flashlight in their hand like this. I've seen people hold a portable radio in their hand like this. Keys, pins, lots of different things. So I think it's important to train and practice for dropping things out of the hand that you do not need in a gunfight. And flashlights should be one of those things. So you should have more than one flashlight on your body. You should have the flashlight that you use for searching, your what I call your utility light, the one that you use for searching around the vehicles and looking through yards and all that good stuff. That's your utility light. Then of course you should have your weapon-mounted light, and then you should have a backup light, a fighting light. So you use your utility light for spotlighting things, and if you need to, you drop that thing, get rid of it immediately. Don't waste the time trying to put it back in its holder. Just immediately drop that thing and then go to your weapon-mounted light. And if there's some type of failure with that weapon-mounted light, then you've got a backup fighting light. Something like a small, compact, surefire light. So when, new flashlights are bought and the old ones are surplused, or they even break and they don't really work anymore, I still think those need to be kept and turned into training props. So if you got an old utility light that doesn't work anymore, take that thing, wrap blue tape around it or paint it blue, whatever, to denote it as a training device, and use that for those training drills. Start off with that in your hand, and then when the fight command comes out, you practice to just drop that damn thing. Just drop it out of your hand and then go to gun and get a good two-handed grip. Same with other stuff. So like a radio that's broken, a taser that's broken, you can keep those and paint them blue or put blue tape on them, or you can buy the Blue Man products of them, just the big rubber clunky things that are shaped like them. Those are, obviously great training props, but they're also kind of expensive. So you can save some money when things break, right? And incorporate that into your training box and pull those out when you do these kind of drills. That way people can practice dropping shit out of their hands they do not need.
Hey, no! Hands up! Hands up! Do not fucking move! Hands up! Hands on your back! Hands on your back! Hands behind your back! Where's the other guy? Where's the other guy? Don't know. They took off. Fuck, dude. I'm bleeding, boy. Yeah, he was fucking shot me! Ball shooting, shot fired, and 2 more bled wet.
So there's his gun laying on the ground.
Officer.
Alright, so we'll back up and we're going to pay attention to the little small box at the top there.
Event as described.
Alright, so we're paying attention to the little small box here. So this is the front passenger. He immediately pulls his gun out. And you can see the guy running right here, which we saw earlier that he has his gun out right there. And he just tracks him through the window. I think he might have fired through the window. I'm not 100% sure. Of course, there's no audio for this part. But boom, he's out.
Hey, now! Hands up! Hands up! Do not fucking move!
So at this point, the back passenger and the front driver are pretty much already on this guy by the time this guy gets up here to them.
Hands on your back! Hands on your back! Hands on your back! Where's the other guy? Where's the other guy? Don't know. They took off. Fuck, dude. I'm bleeding, boy. Yeah, he was fucking shot me! Ball shooting, shot fired, and 2 more bled wet.
So he goes up this way and he starts searching for the other guys and also maintaining that 360 security for them, watching their rear, covering their 6. So that's something that I think sometimes is forgotten or overlooked in some situations. Maintaining that rear security, looking for additional threats. So obviously there's multiple people involved in this. The other 2 took off. Just because they took off in that one direction doesn't mean that they are going to continue with that direction of travel. They could stop after hearing the shots being fired and then turn back around and come back to see what's going on with their friend, their brother. And they could see that he's been shot. And they could say, hey, you know what? We're going to get revenge. We'll shoot the police. So this officer is, one, turning around to see if he can see where those other 2 went. And in essence, he's basically covering their 6. And like I said, I think that's something that sometimes is overlooked, is not thought about a whole lot. Additional threats being out there and looking for more work. Sometimes, even when it's just one person involved, or that you can only see that there's one person. Just because you only see one person, it doesn't mean that there's not any more out there. Criminals will often work together. They do pairs, and you never know when the other guy will want to get himself involved as well. He'll want to come back and get some revenge or help his buddy out, etc. So after we fight, and we assess that the person we fought doesn't need to be shot anymore, we need to start scanning for other threats. Does anyone else want to fight?
Officers secured the subject and rendered aid. The subject was transported to a local area hospital where he died from his injuries. Recovered where the suspect fell was a .40 caliber handgun with a high-capacity drum-style magazine and a quantity of marijuana and heroin.
Of course, drugs and a drum mag. These drum magazines are gaining popularity with the little thug crowd. Of course, you know, they see these things being used in rap videos and stuff like that, and of course they want to get their hands on them and use them. They're typically a 50-round drum mag. It's kind of a neat little thing, you know, especially if you have like the auto sear on a gun, like a Glock 17 with the auto sear on it. Yeah, 50-round drum mag's kind of cool because you get obviously more time shooting the gun. If you put a regular magazine in a full auto pistol, well, that damn thing goes quick. Like one trigger pull and you're boom, that magazine's gone. So yeah, the drum mags are cool for those. For just regular semi-automatic pistols, I don't see the use in them personally. I think they're more of a fad kind of thing. Obviously, you cannot conceal carry with a drum magazine. It's fucking huge. It'll look like a tumor on you. Now, I've seen pictures and videos of people be toting around their little gun with a drum mag on it, and they got it sticking out of their pocket or something, or they got it in their waistband, and they usually have it exposed where people can see it, and they're doing that just to show off or whatever. But even when you see it, like, there's no way to conceal the damn thing. Like, it's going to print. It's going to be very noticeable. So it's not something that is practical, in my opinion, from a concealed carry standpoint. It's only something that is used for, one, show off, and two, it's just something that's really more useful for a machine pistol, realistically. Drum magazines sometimes don't have great reputations as being very reliable. So that's another issue with them. But like I said, it is an emerging popular thing with the thug crowd. They love the look of them. A lot of times what you'll see with the pistols is you'll see a drum mag on there and you'll see a laser beam device on there. This one doesn't have it on there. I'm actually kind of surprised. Maybe that was next on his list to get, was a beam for it. But those are popular things with that thug crowd as well.
No other residents or officers were injured during this incident. Police continue to seek the unidentified subjects that were with the deceased. Per department policy, all officers involved in the incident have been placed on administrative duty pending review by the District Attorney's Office. This investigation is ongoing and is being led by the Milwaukee Area Investigative Team, with the City of Wauwatosa Police Department as the lead agency. At the conclusion of their investigation, they will present their findings to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office for review.
So,
caliber bullet casings were recovered along a flight path leading to where the subject. No other residents or officers.
So why were they walking down the road shooting the way that they were? I'm not really sure. It's who knows, sometimes why these dumb thugs do what they do. But they can do some of the dumbest shit imaginable. It could be that, they were wanting to intimidate someone, go through making a name for themselves. It could be that they knew that the shot spotter would lead the police to them and they were wanting to get into a gunfight with the police. Who knows? I have no idea. Trying to look this up, I haven't really seen a whole lot for this. The incident in and of itself, the person involved, let me take a quick look at this. It mentioned the name. 40-year-old Sherman Solomon and two others were involved in the shootout with officers. So Sherman Solomon is the dude that went down. The three officers, one has 11 years of service, one has 8 years of service, and the other has 15 years of service. Their ages are 30, 34, and 49. The Solomon guy, he served prison time for a 1999 felony armed robbery conviction and was paroled from state prison last fall. Yeah. So he was paroled. So I have no idea how much longer time he could have spent in prison. So parole, just means he got out earlier than his serve out sentence. So who knows? He could have spent a few more years in prison. And had he spent a few more years in prison, then guess what? This particular incident would not have happened. Would not have happened at all. This is a recurring theme in this country. Violent offenders being released early and committing additional crimes and victimizing more people and being involved with the police where they shoot at the police, injure police, and or kill police. It's like a fucking broken record. It really is. It's on fucking repeat. It's the same kind of bullshit over and over and over. Piece of shit motherfuckers who do not need to exist out in public at all are out in public victimizing people. Personally, I think that people who are violent offenders, armed robbers, people who shoot each other, stab people, beat people with bats and hammers and shit like that, assaults, like if you intentionally harm another person, you're a violent offender. If you do something that could harm a person, like an armed robbery, you just flash a gun but you don't shoot anyone, that to me, you're still a violent offender. Violent offenders should have the maximum sentence. There should be no plea deals given to these people. There should be no probation. There should be no parole. There should be no good time credit. There should be no take a substance abuse program class, take a GED class, or some other fucking bullshit class, pass it, and then have time shaved off your sentence. That's bullshit. Should not work in the kitchen and then have time taken off your sentence. There should be mandatory minimum sentencing for those crimes. If a robbery means that you get 20 years, then guess what? You should do exactly 20 years after you've been found guilty. No time credit. No time served. If you were in jail and you weren't able to make bond and you was in jail for almost a year before the trial was done, that should not count towards your time. Not at all. The minute that the sentencing occurs, that's when your time starts. And there's no parole, no chance to get out of that 20 years. 20 years flat is what you get. And on top of that, I think that if you end up being a problem within the prison, you're a behavioral issue, you cause problems, you want to join a gang, you want to show out, you want to tee up, you want to be a fucking shithead and cause problems, then you should have more time added to your sentence. Obviously, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. There are some people who just, like I said, do not need to exist out in public with the rest of us. They have shown that they are incapable of playing nice with others. They have shown that they are incapable of following the rules. There are people who are vicious. They're dangerous people. As a society, we understand that a vicious dog realistically cannot be rehabilitated. Anywhere you go in this country, if a vicious dog attacks someone, one of two things are going to happen. One, a court is going to order that dog be kennelled, basically, for the rest of its life. Have to be behind fence, be in an enclosure for its whole life. It can't be, out walking around, can't be going out in public. You know, you can't put the leash on the dog and go to the park or nothing like that. Like, it has to stay in a fucking kennel. They're going to either order that, or they're going to order the dog to be destroyed, have it euthanized. There is no, oh, well, this vicious pit bull attacked this kid and the mailman and the old lady and really injured them. We're going to leave this vicious pit bull in the dog pound for 2 months, and then we'll release him, and he'll be fine after that. He'll have learned his lesson. We'll keep him locked up for a year, then we'll release him. No. Like, everyone knows that does not work. That's fucking stupid. But for some reason, when it comes to humans, we think, oh, well, this person robbed these people. He shot at these people. He assaulted this person. Raped this woman. We'll put him in. We'll say that he'll have to serve 5 years, but we really won't make him serve 5 years. He'll get to serve 2 and then get out. And then he can go out in public and he'll be fine. He'll be rehabilitated. It'll be perfectly safe for him to be walking around the rest of us. It doesn't work like that. They end up reoffending. They end up victimizing more people. It's not working. So we need justice reform in this country. Not like what the rabid left wants. The rabid left wants more people being let out of prison. Doesn't even want prisons to exist. What we need is to get hard on crime. We need to start locking away violent offenders for very long periods of time. Take them off the streets for long periods of time. It's the only way to keep the public safe. If that means releasing other people for lesser charges, then fine. That's cool. Whatever. You know, people locked up for child support and drug stuff and all this. Yeah, okay. Insurance fraud. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Release them early. Make more room for the violent offenders. But until this happens, until we come to our senses, more shit like this is going to happen. And it's going to keep becoming a larger problem. And unfortunately, you know, it's going to get to the point where too many people have been hurt and killed before we start to say, hey, we need to be doing something different. And by that time, too many good people are going to be hurt and killed. But unfortunately, that's how stuff normally goes. Things don't change until a bunch of bad stuff happens. So anyway, I could go on and on about the failures of the criminal justice system and criminology and all that good stuff, but I'll end it here. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.